Morning Trade Live, and we're looking at the one-year chart for Broadcom. As you can see, its stock hit an all-time high of $495 on June 3, but have fallen since then. Shares down about 25% from that high, and we're down 3.4 right now on AVGO, $366 and change. So let's go inside out and discuss what's going on here with Gil Luria, Managing Director, Head of Research, D.A. Davidson. What is happening with Broadcom right now, do you think? I mean, off more than 20% from that peak just not long ago. What's the story here, do you think?
Well, let's start with the fact the business is doing phenomenally well. They're growing a very large business by 50%, and they'll continue to do that for the foreseeable future. But the AI trade is fickle. The AI trade started with Nvidia and then included Broadcom and added AMD, and then it added the entire semi-complex and beyond. And it's just moved on. It's moved on from Nvidia and it's moved on from Broadcom. That's really most of what it is. What happened most recently is that Nvidia, AMD, Intel, Micron reported phenomenally strong quarters, and Broadcom just reported a strong quarter. And by comparison, that didn't look as impressive, which is why the AI trade has moved on from Broadcom. Has little to do with how well their business is doing and more to do with the fickleness of the AI trade.
Yeah, it certainly is fickle right now, and as Alex and I were just discussing, it seems to have moved beyond all the hyperscalers and the ones that are spending into more of sort of the bottleneck parts. I'm just wondering when you believe we'll start to see a little bit more of that rebalancing, where on a day like this, where you see that ping pong match between the hardwares and the softwares and then the Mag 7, when everything will start to sort of sync up again.
Well, it's hard to predict, but what we do know is that the large spenders, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Meta, are telling us we are getting the returns on this investment. The market is thinking something else, but those companies are saying, look, we're selling data center capacity at a very big markup to what it costs us to build a data center. We're signing these deals, 3-5-year deals, and locking in these returns. And we're going to continue to do that as long as the demand for AI continues. And so as their growth continues to accelerate, and if they can do that at stable margins, the market will return to those big spenders as well. But that all depends on how much progress we continue to make in AI. The news flow is constant, but I'd say that the most important thing we heard yesterday is that it sounds like Anthropic has crossed the $60 billion a year run rate, and OpenAI has crossed the $40 billion a year run rate. So just those two combined, that's $100 billion of actual spend on AI tools that was zero 3 years ago. So clearly there is use of AI. People do want to incorporate it into their personal life, are using it at work. Companies are buying more and more AI capacity. It's not going to go up on a straight line, but clearly there's use in this technology. They're willing to pay for it. Those companies are willing to pay Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. And as that becomes more clear, with that revenue accelerating and those returns coming, investors will likely shift back to those stocks as well.
How much of the move in Broadcom specifically do you think is associated with this announcement about Jalapeno this week with OpenAI? I don't know, I'm still, this name, Jalapeno. I mean, it's Friday now, I've got spicy margs on the brain, but because now OpenAI is talking about the fact that they could potentially, according to the New York Times, be delaying the IPO.
Yeah, so OpenAI and Anthropic have a very complex decision to make about their IPO. On one hand, the capital is available now, and they can use the capital in order to grow the business. On the other hand, being a private company has a lot of advantages. You're not under as much pressure to make money. You don't have to report your numbers. You can be focused a lot more on the long term. So they're debating whether or not to go public. Plus, OpenAI doesn't want Anthropic to go public before them, and then not go public, and Anthropic go public. So there's a lot of game theory there. They both just saw that SpaceX came way down from the first day of trading on the IPO. So that probably chilled their intent to IPO this year. That doesn't mean they don't have capital spend. They just raised $122 billion. They have the money to spend on compute. And part of their compute spending plan is making their own chips. Now, that's a little superfluous. They don't really need to do that, but they are going down that path because long term, they believe that will give them an advantage, or at least put them on par with Google that makes its own chips. And so they want to make their own chips as well. And they're probably both going to do it with Broadcom.
Yeah, look, it's all been about being vertically integrated. That's what we've certainly seen Wall Street kind of separating the Mag 7 into two separate buckets with respect to. But just quickly give us your outlook here for Broadcom over the next several quarters. I mean, what have they got to do? What have they got to show and say?
Yeah, the big question continues to be the cycle. If the AI spending cycle continues, then all those large companies, so that's Microsoft and Amazon and Google and Meta, as well as OpenAI and Anthropic, will want to diversify away from Nvidia. And the main way to do that is with Broadcom. As long as the AI cycle continues, Broadcom will continue to grow at these rates, and the AI trade will come back to them as well.
Great stuff. Always a pleasure to speak to you, Gil. Thank you so much for your time today. You have a wonderful weekend. Gil Luria there, Managing Director, Head of Research, D.A. Davidson. Let's trade this name now with Rick Ducat, Lead Market Technician over at Schwab Network. Rick, good morning. Happy Friday. Trading lower along with the broader chip space today. Just walk us through an example trade for Broadcom today.
Right, so Broadcom, kind of lagging behind some of the other names in this chip sector here. Certainly still quite a strong sector, quite an outperformer, and doing better than the S&P 500 as a whole. But Broadcom actually lagging the tech sector, not just the SMH semiconductor sector, but also the tech sector as well here. So what that means to me is that, we can have some more positive expectations perhaps here, but maybe a bit muted, a bit more tempered. So for an example trade today, what we're going to discuss would be a short put vertical, looking out to the July monthly expiration. -1 July 17th, 335, 330. Put vertical at a $1 credit at the time I structured this trade. That was what was available to get here. So 21 days out, neutral to bullish outlook, a bit of a softer target here than outright buying a call. In this case, all we want to do is just stay above our break even here and just keep the credit here. This is you don't have to beat a target necessarily. You just kind of have to stay above the target. So max profit, our $1 credit received. Max loss would be $400 if it were to go below our 330 protective long put there. So that would be about 1 to 4 risk reward. Pretty common structure that traders may look for this type of play here. So more on the probability would be on the side of this one here. If you were to look down, that 330, 335 area, that's about the edge of the expected move range according to the options market here, as well as an old supportive area here. So break even 334, about 9.7% to the downside. Expected move roughly in line with that. So looking for the probabilities to play out here at this supportive area.
Really appreciate it, Rick, as always. Thanks for putting on your technical hat for us today on Broadcom.